Welcome to the Love and Liberty Podcast, Episode 3. This was originally slated to be an episode about how Coach Prime coming to Boulder helped me lose 60 pounds in a year. But instead, today we're going to first catch you up on all the most vital Buffs news that has occurred over the last few months. From a huge stack of sources, articles, notes, and everything that's buzzing with the latest from the world of Colorado Buffaloes college football. And we will do the weight loss episode next time. There's a lot going on in Boulder this summer. The season is coming up fast. And look, if you haven't been able to read every interview, watch every clip, trust me, you're not alone. Keeping up with the Buffs right now, it's basically a full-time job. So our mission today is to distill all of the information for you. We're going to focus on the timeline, the sequence of events, and all the crucial stuff that you really need to know. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in to a robust, sequential catch-up of everything that's happened in the CU football world recently. By the end of this, you will be completely on the ball, fully informed, ready for kickoff, and ready to talk Buffs with anybody. Sound good? All right, if so, consider this episode your way to get totally up to speed. All right, let's unpack this and get you informed. Starting with some pretty exciting stuff on the recruiting trail. Early July was pretty hot. I mean, CU's recruiting didn't just warm up. It legit caught fire. Specifically, in the first 11 days of July, boom, 4 new commits over 11 days. Xavier Payne, DeMonte Timms, Carson Crawford, and Kobe Johnson. But what's really interesting here, beyond just the names, is what it says about CU's recruiting philosophy, how it's evolving under Coach Prime, just like he said it would from the beginning of his CU tenure. It isn't just about grabbing the highest ranked guys. It's a lot more strategic than that. CU is not just chasing 5 stars like, the Alabamas or Georgias or Ohio States might do. Coach Prime is doing it different. There was some analysis, I think it was DNVR Sports covered it around July 11th, really highlighted this pivot. The coaching staff, they've explicitly shifted focus to being about more of a great fit over 5-star. Fit over 5-star. Makes sense. They're looking hard for players who genuinely want to play for Colorado. Guys who are, quote, totally bought in on the direction of the program and the culture. And importantly, players who actually want to, live and ball out in Boulder. That sounds key. Not just mercenaries, but guys truly invested in the program. And it's not just lip service. It feels like a strategy to avoid some crucial pitfalls. Grabbing a top 100 kid who's maybe more swayed by NIL is obviously a huge factor now. Coach Prime wants guys committed to CU's unique thing, not just the money or the ranking. It's about building a cohesive culture among the team. So building a team, not just collecting stars. And speaking of big commitments, right after those first 4, there was buzz about another major one, right? Someone who really fit. That fit over 5-star idea. And that's where Rodney Colton Jr. comes in. A huge get. A huge get. So we're around July 12th and CU lands Rodney Colton Jr. He's a 4-star linebacker prospect, and not just any 4-star. He's ranked top 15 nationally for the 2026 class on 24/7 Sports. A true blue chip guy, a top 15 linebacker, and that's significant. And the kicker is he chose CU over finalists like Ole Miss and Florida State, extremely well-established programs. And multiple sources of ours pointed this out. This was a commit where, quote, money did not buy this one. Very interesting. So the appeal for top-tier talent to come and play for Coach Prime at CU is more than just NIL now. It's the culture, the coach and his coaches. At least it seems that way over here in Boulder. And it really speaks to what Coach Prime is building here, the vision that he's selling. And it's a massive win pulling in that kind of talent. And a linebacker like Rodney Colton Jr., one of our sources described that he delivers aggravated assault hits. Oh boy. And what does he bring specifically to the CU linebacker room? Well, first off, his commitment alone was huge. Strategically, he became the third linebacker commit in the 2026 class, which shows CU is really targeting that position group. Building depth. Buff Stampede described him as a stand between the tackles and knock people on their backside type linebacker. Old school. I love it. He's 6'1", 220 pounds. Kind of reminds you like Mantrez Walker type. Just a menace and a force in the middle who looks to be ready to play early. Okay, but here's the thing. His film isn't just those huge hits, those aggravated assault moments and run defense. He also shows impressive interceptions, good agility, good instincts. So not just a thumper, it looks like he can cover too. He is versatile and can line up inside or outside. That's exactly the kind of modern linebacker we need, especially in the Big 12 with all the spread offenses. That combination is exciting. Okay, thinking bigger picture, recruiting. How does landing a blue chip like Colton Jr. change the perception and the trajectory of CU recruiting under Coach Prime? It absolutely feels significant. David Talks Buffs, DNVR Sports, they both noted that Rodney Colton Jr. committing catapulted CU's recruiting class up into the top 80 at number 79. All right, number 79. Okay, still climbing, but that jump is notable. It's critical. It signals Coach Hart, the linebackers coach, is consistently starting to get blue chip guys. They're moving past being what some called a poverty program in terms of recruiting power just a few short years ago. So this is a total and massive shift. And the other thing is that the Buffs now have 9 high school commits already. 9. Before fall camp even starts, which is a big jump from previous years and even under Coach Prime. It was mostly portal guys coming to CU early on, which is exactly the plan Coach Prime announced from the jump. And this summer shows he is finishing up that foundation. Now, traditional high school recruiting will help make the Buffs more sustainable, building on that initial foundation. And that ties right into our discussion on team depth and its importance, especially on defense. Uncle Neely over at the Pregame Network really emphasizes this recruiting success, especially in the linebacker room. It's vital because, look, the offense lost some huge names, right? Shedeur, Travis, Jimmy Hoare, LeJontay Wester, Will Shepard, all gone to the NFL. Which would imply there might be a massive offensive production loss, potentially huge. But the key point for the new CU defense is, quote, the distance between the ones and twos does not exist. So we're talking about real depth, not a big drop-off when a starter needs to come off the field. Fewer weak spots. If a starter gets hurt, or just for rotation to keep players fresh, having that kind of depth is huge. It makes a massive difference over a whole season. And it hits at a much more resilient defense this year. Okay, so we have a strong July start with recruiting, building that foundation. But hold on, because the CU news gets even brighter. Let's talk about Big 12 Media Day. A massive event, and Coach Prime's appearance, as always, was the main attraction. So what was the vibe? What were the key takeaways from Coach Prime at Big 12 Media Day? Around mid-July, Prime spoke, I think it was July 9th. There was a huge focus on him because there had been whispers all summer about him recovering from some undisclosed health issue. Deion Sanders Jr., aka Bucky, had mentioned it online, but Coach Prime didn't elaborate. He kept it private as usual. But despite that, everyone said he looked good, sounded good, obviously good for CU and Coach Prime fans to see and hear from him in good spirits. He had his usual confidence and swagger and seemed back to himself. Sharp, engaged, and, he just understands marketing. He commands any room he's in. Coach Prime sets the narrative. And with Coach Prime, there's usually a comment that grabs headlines. Usually something at least a little bit provocative. And this time, it was his NIL talk that sounded like it stirred things up. It became a huge talking point. Sporting News, Brian Howell, 0 to 60. Yeah, they all jumped on Coach Prime's controversial NIL comments. What did Coach Prime say exactly? Well, he openly sounded, okay, maybe jealous is the word. Some news out of Texas Tech reported a $28 million NIL payroll. $28 million. Wow. Yeah, and Prime said flat out Colorado can't pull that off. Then he went further arguing for a salary cap in college football. Okay, so Coach Prime basically predicted issues for CU competing financially, and that caused some controversy. Some of the typical people took it as a shot at Texas Tech, but most analysts saw it less as a dig at Tech and more as a shot at college football overall. Coach Prime was highlighting the need for, as he put it, collective balance. That unchecked spending could make things unsustainable for a lot of programs. He's commenting on the whole entire system. So context helps. It wasn't personal. It was a systemic critique, and it kind of fits Coach Prime's style, right? Fearlessly challenging the norm and doing things his way. One analyst of our sources pointed out that Coach Sanders thrives on doing things his way. He wouldn't get the same kind of freedom at, say, Ohio State or Alabama. So his position at Colorado lets him be outspoken on stuff like NIL. He's using his platform to push for changes he thinks are needed for the sport's long-term health. He's not just coaching, he's really trying to shape the game's future. Okay, so shifting gears from Coach Prime's big picture comments, the biggest on-field question for CU is still quarterback, right? It's a huge looming question mark, and Coach Prime made a statement by bringing both Kaden Salter and Julian Lewis to Media Day. Let's try to unpack the thinking there. It was a strategic move and somewhat unconventional, almost unheard of really, bringing both quarterbacks. Brian Howell, Darius at Reach the People Media, DNVR, they all noted how rare that is. Coach Prime said he wanted to give them both opportunities to be in the spotlight, get them used to the media circus, especially for Julian Lewis. Remember, he's only 17. Basically should still be a high school senior. Crazy. So Coach Prime wanted him to feel some of that media pressure, get that experience early. Speaks volumes about how Coach Prime develops young talent. Another signature bold move. But let's dig into Kaden Salter first. He seems like the more experienced guy, possibly the front runner for now. So what makes Salter stand out? Kaden Salter is definitely seen as further along because he's played college ball already. Our sources consistently point to his IQ, his great vision, ability to read defenses, his skill at making adjustments. So he brings far more than just arm talent. He's described as confident, not looking his age, handles himself well, and apparently he sees the competition with Lewis as all fun, which is so good for the QB room. A healthy dynamic. And Salter led Liberty, his old team, to a playoff game even without a ton of talent around him. So the thinking is, put him at Colorado with all these weapons, and he should really shine. And he's not trying to be someone else like Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts. He says he models his game after himself, but he can still run and pass both effectively. A dual threat in his own right, and he seems like a real field general type. Okay, and then there's Julian JuJu Lewis, the 5-star phenom who, would usually be getting ready for senior prom, not Big 12 Media Day. What is his potential, and how did he handle that spotlight? Julian Lewis. I mean, the reports consistently call him a 5-star quarterback, one of the highest rated recruits nationally, already showing signs of being a young leader at 17. At 17. Just the fact he should be going into his senior year of high school, it just makes his poise, his composure at media day, absolutely remarkable. He wasn't rattled in any way, not a bit. He handled questions with an incredible, almost unbelievable maturity. It really underlines the talent, the potential, but also the mental makeup he has already, and the type of extremely impressive young men who are entrusting their future careers to Coach Prime and his Boulder coaching staff. JuJu seems ready for the big stage, and he is the future, no doubt. And how does the OC, Coach Shurmur, fit into this QB battle? His playbook is a major key. Coach Shurmur's approach seems really smart here, and Darius at Reach the People highlighted this. He's praised for breaking down the playbook to make it simple and easy. Why is that important? It allows both quarterbacks, regardless of experience, to pick it up quickly, less thinking, more reacting, play fast, play instinctively. Critical when you have Salter's experience versus Lewis's youth in the same room. It speeds up the learning curve for everyone. So the QB competition is real, but it sounds like it's healthy. Given all the weapons CU has, it's a great problem to have. But it's consistently being described as a healthy competition. Salter's even been mentoring Lewis, coaching him up. So that's great to hear. And the expectations are sky high. DNVR Sports basically said with CU's receivers and a potentially great O-line, Colorado could produce another Heisman winner. Wow. Heisman talk already. That's the level of belief in the QBs and the talent around them. We expect to see offensive fireworks. Okay, moving beyond the QBs, the players themselves gave some great insights at Media Day. Jordan Seaton, true sophomore O-lineman, was there, of course, and his take was leadership and the O-line itself. Jordan Seaton has already become a cornerstone as a sophomore. He said it was an honor to be there following Shedeur and Travis, and credited IMG Academy for preparing him for the spotlight. He is incredibly mature for his age, and his leadership is a beautiful thing to witness. Buff Stampede and Big Dog Chico both reported it comes from Seaton just wanting to be the best. His dedication is apparently off the charts, like the off days thing. Seaton is taking the initiative to work out even on off days, and he asked DNVR, what's an off day? He's already completely transformed his body, lost body fat, gained muscle, become even more of a monster. So he embodies that prime mantra to a T. Smart, tough, disciplined, fast, with character. He lives it. He set the standard with his work ethic for that O-line that he will be anchoring. And the O-line has obviously been a huge focus as a glaring weakness in the past years. It sounds like this year is finally changing big time. This might be one of the most exciting developments. Buff Stampede, Buffton Prime are also both saying this could be the best offensive line Coach Prime has had, maybe even the best CU has ever had, and they're saying that about the D-line as well. Thank you, Coach Prime. Anyway, that's the buzz among CU analysts right now. And even Phil Steele's college football preview named Xavier Hill first team all-conference and Seaton second team. Zy Chrysler is expected to be really good too. The O-line room is full of monsters, and there are apparently 10 O-linemen fighting for spots, 10 guys battling. That is serious depth and competition. It's a massive positive sign. What used to be a weakness could now be a major strength, 180-degree total turnaround potential. That's a game changer for the offense. And Seaton mentioned a potential shift in offensive strategy because of that line strength. He expects CU to run the ball more than last year. The balanced attack everyone was asking for. And Seaton says he thinks it helps the O-line mixing it up. Committing to the run, it lets them punch more aggressively off the ball compared to just pass blocking or holding blocks on RPOs. Running allows them to be more physical, to set the tone. Drive blocking, imposing their will, it all points towards a tougher, more balanced, maybe more physically demanding offense this year. And what about Seaton's personal relationship with Coach Prime? It sounds like they have a genuine and real connection. Seaton described Prime as real as it gets. Said he can talk to him about anything, life, family, not just football. Said he feels like he's getting life knowledge, not just football coach. That's pretty cool, especially when the coach is prime time. And there was an anecdote from Media Day. Seaton needed a barber for his braids, and Coach Prime personally helped him find one. The Hall of Fame player, head coach, locking down the right barber. It emphasizes how Coach Prime is big on appearance and how much details matter to him as a perfectionist. It just further shows that hands-on personal touch Coach Prime has with his players. It's definitely unique among coaches, and it shows that Coach Prime is concerned with developing the whole person, as he often says, not just the player. Okay, so Seaton definitely embodies that level of dedication Coach Prime seeks out. What about other CU playmakers? Draylen Miller, a receiver. His journey and story is pretty cool. Reach the People Media shared a long interview with him and several other players we'll reference in this podcast. Go check out Darius and Reach the People if you haven't already, which I know most of you have. Anyway, his interviews are a goldmine of information and insight. So Draylen Miller started high school as a safety, switched to receiver after a hip injury, and then basically blew up. Draylen had 48 offers by his senior year. 48. Seems like he could have played at about any school or in any state in the nation he wanted to. 48 offers. Wow. Draylen's story shows both his talent and adaptability. And so fast forward to now, he's made a Heisman deal with Coach Corey. A Heisman deal. If Miller makes it to the Heisman ceremony in New York, Coach Corey buys his suit. Some good-natured motivation. But Draylen immediately stressed that what really matters is the team dominating and winning first, and how he believes personal awards follow behind from team success. Draylen said he has adjusted well to both the new QBs, Salter and JuJu, and calls them both great leaders. And his dream NFL team, the Dallas Cowboys from his home state of Texas, says he appreciates teams that are the most hated. I love that. He definitely has the competitive edge, definitely a driven guy. All right, and how about Joseph Williams, goes by JoJo? What kind of player is he, JoJo Williams? People who've seen him call him that dude. He's apparently fast at 6'5", but also twitchy. And that's a rare combo, fast and twitchy at 6'5". Apparently has great patience and routes, attacks the ball at the high point, makes poster-worthy plays on jump balls, and Buffed and Prime noted he even has a strong arm too, saying he can throw it 50 yards, so maybe look out for the trick plays with this guy. But anyway, JoJo Williams is obviously a versatile athlete and an exciting addition to the CU receiving corps. And how is JoJo liking CU? He said he loves Colorado, called it a positive switch from Oklahoma, said he likes Boulder, that there's a lot to do, but he mostly just loves football. Said he gets bored when he's not playing. Definitely more of the kind of passion you want to see from the new additions. Quannell Jr., another wide receiver weapon for the Buffs this year, sounds like more of a quiet leader. Quannell confirmed with Reach the People that he's not a super vocal guy, but leads by actions and tries to inspire teammates with his work ethic. He said he stays focused by keeping God first and training hard, while others might be, partying or indulging in the college social life scene. Quannell trusts Coach Prime completely and believes he knows exactly what to say and exactly what to do. Provides that steady, grounded presence. Good to have those type of guys. And then we have Isaiah Hardge. He has an interesting background too. Isaiah Hardge played offense and defense in high school. Won 3 straight state titles. His junior year was when he really broke out at receiver. Coach Prime once mentioned in a well-off media video that Hardge is the next Hunter. So immense athletic potential in Hardge with some lofty expectations to live up to. Hardge is also apparently a talented artist, and his other hobbies are gaming and saltwater fishing. Another fisherman footballer like Coach Prime, Travis Hunter, and Coach Sapp. Maybe there's some correlation there. Beyond football, it's always good when players bring some creative element to a team. Okay, so we've got lots of talent, too much to even highlight in this video. Character, diverse personalities, expectations building up, but it's not just the players and coaches, right? The university is investing too. Facility updates, admin support, it's huge, crucial, absolutely crucial, and CU is definitely investing. DNVR Sports and Buff Stampede had some details on the upgrades, like the hill and the Folsom end zone, the one that was always slippery, borderline dangerous. It's fully turf now. Black turf and the Colorado logo looks amazing, but more importantly, it's way safer for players. Practical and looks good. And then there's the big West Side expansion project for the stadium. It's a great plan. Moving forward includes stadium improvements, a thoroughfare for students with quick service restaurants built in, and integrating Folsom Field more with campus life. Rick George admitted that it is all impactful financially. It's a big project, but the goal is making it great for the students, enhancing the whole campus experience, not just game day. It's a long-term investment in the university. And what about everyone's favorite mascot, Ralphie? Good news for Ralphie fans. Ralphie is doing really well and is expected to run better and faster this season. The Buffs crowd loves us some Ralphie. It seems the whole CU football program is hitting its stride. So overall, what has been the message from Athletic Director Rick George? How confident is he in where things are headed under Coach Prime? Speaking on DNVR Sports, Rick sounded extremely confident. He talked about the progress from year 1 to year 3, said CU is beyond relevant now. CU is truly in the mix with the top programs according to Rick George, and that's a strong statement. He stressed that winning at a high level, getting to bowl games every year, setting clear high expectations are all crucial for stability. He confirmed Coach Prime is locked down for the next 5 years. 5 more years. That's huge for recruiting and planning. Everything CU football is giving massive signals there is a real long-term commitment from the university. But speaking of challenges, the Buffs' 2025 schedule looks absolutely brutal. Toughest in the Big 12, it's a gauntlet, and that's no exaggeration. DNVR, Buffed and Prime both called it the toughest in the Big 12, and Phil Steele ranked it 17th hardest nationally among all teams. So the team will have to be on point every week, potentially no breathers, which is tough for any team, let alone one still building. And what are some key matchups that jump out? Buckton Prime mentioned Georgia Tech, and there's an interesting historical tie-in there with that disputed national championship from 35 years ago, which adds some spice to the opener for sure. Then Delaware, now an FBS team, plus Big 12 foes. Houston, Wyoming, BYU, TCU, Iowa State, Utah, Arizona, West Virginia, Arizona State, and Kansas State. Just relentless. But the national TV exposure is good. Early games, a huge silver lining, first 4 or 5 games on national TV, which is great for viewership. It keeps the brand visible, continues to build the national profile for CU, and is great motivation for the players to bring their A games. And Rick George, having been on the CFP committee, he knows how much that tough schedule matters for playoff hopes. He was on the CFP committee for 3 years. He specifically said strength of schedule is going to be really important this year for the playoff. So winning tough games is the path to the playoffs. Wins against quality opponents. The committee respects every tough win, and they all carry huge weight for getting into that playoff conversation. Okay, our last point is back on the upcoming 2025 schedule. How crucial is the running game for navigating this beast? And defensively, what about the running quarterbacks CU will face this year? Both the running game and the defense are seen as extremely important, absolutely critical for success this season. Why? Both help with controlling the game clock, keeping the opposing offense off the field, and prevent us having to play from behind in that panic mode. And an effective running game gives our own defense rest. Buffton Prime specifically noted CU has struggled against running quarterbacks, which we all know. That's one worry with this schedule, maybe a big worry, and the team will have to address that. Teams like Georgia Tech have athletic quarterbacks who can kill you. So controlling the line of scrimmage, establishing the run on offense, and containing mobile quarterbacks on defense, paramount. CU will need legitimate team balance to survive the schedule. Okay, so we've covered recruiting wins, media day strategies, the tough schedule. Now let's shift focus. Training camp is coming up, and some former Buffs are starting their NFL journeys. But first, what's the latest on Coach Prime himself? Well, he's getting back to Boulder for training camp, so really good news there. An update around July 17th said Coach Prime and Deion Jr. planned on returning to Boulder just in time for the start of preseason training camp, which is starting this week. So basically around July 24th, a few days before this podcast will be posted, Coach Prime should be back in Boulder, ready to lead camp. His presence is obviously vital and definitely reassuring. Okay, now let's talk NFL for just a minute. The Sanders brothers draft night, as most of you saw, was dramatic to say the least. Going undrafted, and especially after the infamous prank call, rough, is how Boog Knight described it on Duke's The Scoop show. Boog was pretty candid, said he was emotionally crushed for Shedeur, especially with the fake Saints call. Boog said Boog felt like they tried to ruin something that Shedeur earned. It was awful and absurd to those of us who followed Shedeur's college career. But it is looking like he bounced back immediately. He was back to throwing a football right after the prank call. Deion Jr. said it created this underdog narrative, and it might even end up being a blessing in disguise. It gives him that chip on his shoulder, and that underdog fuel can be powerful. So Shedeur is obviously with the Browns now, and there's a lot of competition in that quarterback room. He's battling vets like Joe Flacco, also Kenny Pickett plus fellow rookie Dylan Gabriel. But 0 to 60s, former Buffs and NFL player Matt McChesney says Shedeur is in a great spot to learn, and he is already making an impression in Cleveland. Shedeur has been receiving praise for being willing to work his way up, is performing well statistically in camp, and maybe even exceeding expectations already. And he's been turning heads with his work ethic. We saw those viral clips of him throwing in the rain. The late night sessions aren't just for show. Sporting News said it shows his willingness to train through tough conditions. The late night grind underscores how he's always trying to be a step ahead. And it shows he had good support navigating the NFL draft stress. Boog Knight mentioned he and others helped Shedeur stay locked in through the draft trauma and his dad's health stuff. Knight even said he set up pre-camp training with another Browns undrafted free agent receiver, Gage Ledeen, proactively looking out for each other. Another smart move to build chemistry early. It shows that dedication to making it work, and it speaks volumes about Shedor's maturity and character. Okay, so how about Shiloh Sanders? What's his NFL outlook? Well, most of you already know that Shiloh's in a great position down in Tampa Bay, and according to Matt McChesney over at 0 to 60, Shiloh seems likely to make the roster, mainly playing special teams initially. But also, Tampa Bay's safety room is apparently really light, not much depth, so there's a clear path for Shiloh to contribute early using the athleticism Headache Gang is known for on special teams, which is often the fastest way for rookies to get on the field. And Jimmy Horn Jr., another buff in the league now, how's he fitting in with the Panthers? 6th-round pick, MagDog TV reported he's been embraced 1,000%. He's had a strong welcome, and get this, Panthers legend Steve Smith Sr. compared his own game to Horn's, praised his toughness. Wow. Steve Smith saying that. That's huge, a massive compliment. I'd say it bodes well for Jimmy becoming a fan favorite and contributor there. Then we've got LaJohntay Wester looking like he may be doing some punt kick return duty in Baltimore, and we fully expect him to make a name for himself at receiver as he's done everywhere he's played. And recently we heard that Will Shepard signed with the Green Bay Packers, and we have Cam Silman-Craig and BJ Green also in Jacksonville with Travis Hunter, who has been doing what he does, making insane plays in rookie camp, as well as making YouTube videos about his new city of Jacksonville. And briefly, Omarion Miller stayed at CU coming back from injury, and his mindset, he also talked to Darius with Reach the People and discussed his comeback, why he chose to stay at Colorado. He said he wants to be remembered as one of the most dynamic players to ever play at Colorado. I love an ambitious goal. Miller sounds incredibly determined to make a big impact this season, to leave a real legacy. Based on what we've seen of him before he got injured, I think he's going to do just that. And finally, you can't talk CU legends without mentioning Travis Hunter. Even though we mentioned him briefly talking about Buffs players who went pro, he is still racking up accolades. Travis Hunter's impact just keeps growing. He was nominated for Big 12 Athlete of the Year after the season. It seems like it should be a lock, at least you would think so. I mean, let's run down the list of awards real quick. Heisman winner, Biletnikoff for Best Receiver, Bednarik Award for Best Defensive Player, Walter Camp for Best Overall Player. Just absurd. The stats were insane. 96 catches, over 1,200 yards, 16 TDs on offense, plus 36 tackles, 4 picks, 11 pass breakups playing defense against other teams' best guys. Travis Hunter is two-way dominance like we've never seen. Hard to see how anyone else wins that Big 12 award. He's the clear favorite. Okay, so wow. We've really covered a ton in this episode. Recruiting wins, media day strategies, interview sound bites, players heading to the pros, facility upgrades, the tough 2025 schedule. You now have the complete Buffs picture. You are officially on the ball, fully up to speed. And it's fascinating, isn't it? How Colorado under Coach Prime isn't just rebuilding a team, they're actively reshaping perceptions of CU. Coach Prime is navigating NIL, media engagement, player development, all in really unconventional ways. But only because it's unconventional for the men who have actually been there and done that to become head coaches. Coach Prime is on the forefront of what I believe will be the new standard, high-level NFL athletes becoming coaches and giving back the lessons that led them to success to the future generations. On that front, Coach Prime is setting the standard. CU is not just trying to win games on the field with Coach Prime and Rick George at the helm. They're trying to win the narrative too. Win the narrative, challenge the norms, build a unique college football brand. It's a whole different level they're playing on. So thinking about everything we just unpacked, what really stands out to you about what Colorado's doing? Is it a blueprint others can follow? Or is this path so unique to them that it's maybe not replicable by anyone else? That's going to be the big question, isn't it? In this era with so much scrutiny, players having so much influence, how much of CU's momentum and their success will be tied specifically to Coach Prime. His personality, his unique approach, right? Versus how much is what he's building going to be truly sustainable after he's gone. CU is hoping Coach Prime builds a sustainable model built for the future of college football, especially as everything keeps changing so fast, and it seems that Coach Prime can see further down that road than maybe anybody else. It's definitely something to think about as this exciting and much anticipated 2025 season finally kicks off. This has been the Love and Liberty Podcast, Episode 3. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe for more upcoming content about the Buffs and the intersection of sports, culture, politics, and fitness. This is L&L, wishing you all love and liberty. Peace. Peace.